Hello, all you freedom-loving people. The first week of 2025 was like a game of musical chairs. The House voted on Speaker Johnson's fate. Meta replaced its head, and South Korea nearly arrested their incumbent president. Okay, let's get into it. The U.S. House of Representatives voted to elect the Speaker of the House for the 119th Congress. Incumbent Speaker Mike Johnson did not yet have the support of all Republican legislators on Thursday. Early last December, Johnson pushed a government funding bill through the House, but the move drew opposition from some hardline Republicans, casting a shadow over the Speaker's re-election bid. Representative Tom Massey of Kentucky continued to say that he would not vote for Johnson. Several other House Republicans, including Representative Victoria Spartz of Indiana, said that they were on the fence. Given the slim Republican majority in the House, Johnson could only afford one Republican ballot defection. So Johnson's re-election rested heavily on the hope that an individual Democratic member would not show up to vote. If one Democrat was absent, then he could still be elected even if he lost 2 Republican votes. But to Johnson's detriment, 2 Democratic lawmakers who have suffered health problems said that they would be attending the vote. On Thursday morning, former Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi posted a video on X saying she was on a flight back to Washington, D.C. It would be her first appearance at the U.S. Capitol since she was hospitalized for a hip replacement surgery for injuries she sustained during a trip to Luxembourg last month. Pennsylvania Representative Dwight Evans also returned to the office on Friday. He has not voted in Congress since suffering a stroke last May. President Trump has already publicly endorsed Johnson, saying that he fully and completely supports Johnson's re-election as Speaker and that he will also do the work for him by making phone calls to legislators who don't support Johnson. And President Trump wished Johnson luck in the Speaker vote today. President-elect Trump wrote, "Good luck today for Speaker Mike Johnson, a fine man of great ability who is very close to having 100% support. A win for Mike today will be a big win for the Republican Party and yet another acknowledgement of our 129-year most consequential presidential election, a big affirmation indeed. MAGA." Following President Trump's lead, Elon Musk expressed his support for Speaker Johnson's re-election on Monday. Their support was the key to Johnson's path to victory in the Speaker's race. President Trump said on December 31st that he believed Speaker Johnson would secure a second term in the job. President-elect Trump said he's the one that can win right now. People like him. Almost everybody likes him. Multiple Johnson holdouts have coalesced around Johnson in the days since President Trump's December 30th statement. Representative Paul Gosar, who joined Representatives Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massey to force a motion to vacate vote, announced after President Trump's endorsement that he would vote for Johnson. Representative-elect Brandon Gill also cited President Trump's endorsement in stating that he would back Johnson. But Johnson wasn't out of the woods yet. Massey made it clear that he would not vote for Johnson. That is the only Republican vote that Johnson could afford to lose. Prior to the noon vote, President Trump once again spoke out in favor of Speaker Johnson. President Trump's endorsement surely helped Johnson get reelected as the Speaker of the 119th Congress. In a 218 to 215 vote, Johnson was elected on the first ballot.
Therefore, the Honorable Mike Johnson of the state of Louisiana, having received a majority of the votes cast, is duly elected Speaker of the House of Representatives for the 119th Congress.
This was despite the short-lived hiccups early in the vote. There was initially signs of a brewing mutiny among the House GOP caucus as several members, beginning with Representatives Tom Massey and Chip Roy, expressed reservations or outright opposition to Johnson. After Johnson gave his acceptance speech in which he promised to implement President Trump's tax policies, all members of the House were sworn into office. The new Trump era has officially begun. President Trump responded by saying on Truth Social, "Congratulations to Speaker Mike Johnson for receiving an unprecedented vote of confidence in Congress. Mike will be a great speaker and our country will be the beneficiary. The people of America have waited 4 years for common sense, strength, and leadership. They'll get it now, and America will be greater than ever before." Facebook's parent company Meta has promoted prominent Republican Joel Kaplan to the company's chief global affairs officer. He's replacing Nick Clegg. Clegg was Deputy Prime Minister of the United Kingdom and the leader of the Liberal Democrats, which is a central-left political party in the United Kingdom. Kaplan was a staffer under former President George W. Bush, and he appeared at the New York Stock Exchange with J.D. Vance and President Trump in December. This senior-level change in Meta's policy and communications team comes on the heels of President Trump's upcoming inauguration. It's the latest sign of how tech companies are positioning themselves for a new administration in Washington. Clegg wrote, "As a new year begins, I have come to the view that this is the right time for me to move on from my role as President of Global Affairs at Meta." Kaplan has been one of the most forceful voices inside Meta against restrictions on political speech. He has argued internally that such policies would disproportionately mute conservative voices. Clegg said, "Joel is quite clearly the right person for the right job at the right time, ideally placed to shape the company's strategy as societal and political expectations around technology continue to evolve." Clegg joined the company in 2018, and he helped steer the company through the Cambridge Analytica scandal, in which Facebook shared user data with third-party political consultants. Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg thanked Clegg for his contribution. Zuckerberg said in a statement, "I'm grateful for everything you've done for Meta and the world these past 7 years." On Friday, President Trump called on the United Kingdom to open up the North Sea and dismantle the wind turbines installed there. President Trump said on Truth Social, "The UK is making a very big mistake. Open up the North Sea, get rid of windmills." His post was in response to reports that Apache, a subsidiary of U.S. oil and gas producer APA Corporation, plans to exit the North Sea by the end of 2029. The company expects North Sea oil production in 2025 to be 20% lower than in 2024, as the UK government imposes a windfall tax on oil and gas producers. In October last year, the British government announced that it would increase the windfall profits tax on North Sea oil and gas producers from 35% to 38% and extend the tax for 1 year. The British government is hoping to use revenues from oil and gas to raise funds for renewable energy projects. It aims to largely decarbonize the power sector by 2030. Oil and gas developers in the North Sea have warned that an increase in UK tax rates would lead to a sharp drop in investment in the North Sea. The companies are rushing to exit the North Sea before the tax increase. Harbour Energy, the UK's leading North Sea oil producer, is looking to sell its stake in North Sea oil fields and is relaunching plans to list in the US. US oil giant ExxonMobil withdrew from the North Sea in July last year. On Friday morning, local time in South Korea, which is Thursday night in North America, South Korean authorities attempted to arrest the impeached South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol. This is the latest development in the conflict following the Korean president's short-lived imposition of martial law on December 3rd last year. After President Yoon lifted martial law last year, we reported that the first impeachment that was initiated by the opposition party failed. So what happened between then and now? Let's take a look. After the first impeachment failed, the entire South Korean folk were all outraged and they marched straight to surround the National Assembly. The South Korean media also got creative. They moved their studio directly in front of the Capitol. Instead of setting the backdrop as the Capitol, a crane was used to hoist the studio over it. Yoon Suk-yeol defended his decision by describing the domestic opposition as North Korean sympathizers, and he claimed that the other side had possibly tampered with the election results. After this speech by the president, the head of the ruling party, Han Dong-hoon, suddenly changed his mind and stopped supporting the president. It's important to realize that President Yoon Suk-yeol was able to escape the first impeachment only because of the support of all the ruling party members. The fact that the lead of the ruling party took the lead in opposing the president meant that it would be very difficult for the president to survive the second impeachment. And sure enough, in the second impeachment that followed, there were 204 votes in favor of the impeachment and 85 votes against it. Among the 300 members, another 11 chose to be neutral. We also saw an anomaly in the voting figures. Although the leader of the ruling party took the lead in opposing the president, the second impeachment received only 9 more votes in favor than the first time. This shows that apart from the party leaders, the vast majority of the ordinary members of the ruling party still support the president. Therefore, 2 days after the impeachment of the president, the leader of the ruling party was forced to resign. But President Yoon Suk-yeol was adamant about not resigning. He said that he was not afraid not only of impeachment, but also of the opposition party launching an investigation against him on the charge of inciting civil strife. He argued that how can it be called inciting civil unrest when a small number of troops are deployed for a period of time to maintain order? President Yoon Suk-yeol is certainly very courageous. He has also seized upon a loophole in the Korean constitution. South Korea's constitution stipulates that the passage of a motion of impeachment by a member of the National Assembly does not necessarily mean the president can be successfully impeached, and the approval of the Constitutional Court of Korea is also required for the impeachment to be considered successful. The Constitutional Court of Korea can have 180 days to complete the process, that is, half a year. At the same time, the Constitution stipulates that 7 out of 9 justices must be present before the impeachment can be deliberated, and 6 or more must agree before the impeachment can be passed. However, the present situation in South Korea is very special, and it can also be said that President Yoon has been very lucky. Nowadays, it just so happens that 3 justices in South Korea have retired, and the new justices need to be nominated by the president before they can take office. So if President Yoon does not resign, there will be no new election for a new president, and there will be no way to nominate a new justice. The acting president is not authorized to nominate justices, and he can only perform basic presidential functions. And the terms of 2 of the 6 current justices will expire in April. So the deck is stacked against the opponents of President Yoon. If the Constitutional Court fails to pass the impeachment within 6 months, the impeachment will be null and void. Therefore, his opponents intend to use a variety of means to attack him. South Korean police, the National Assembly, prosecutors and anti-corruption agencies have launched separate investigations into Yoon Suk-yeol over allegations of treason in the martial law incident. The day after the parliament passed the impeachment, South Korean police attempted to search the president's office, but were turned away by the president's security team. However, even though the number of justices was insufficient, the presidential impeachment case was formally heard at the end of December because the acting president had appointed 2 judges to the Constitutional Court the previous day, but this was an action that exceeded the authorities of the interim leader. And on the last day of 2024, the court approved an arrest warrant for Yoon Suk-yeol on suspicion of civil unrest. The warrant is valid for 7 days from the date of issuance. This means that it must be executed by January 6 or it automatically expires. According to Yonhap News Agency, about 3,000 police officers were mobilized to execute the warrant at 6 in the morning, but Yoon Suk Yeol's legal team claimed the warrant was illegal and invalid. Meanwhile, hundreds of Yoon Suk Yeol's loyal supporters rallied outside the presidential residence to protect him. Yoon Suk Yeol still has a significant number of supporters. The fourth day after his impeachment, it was President Yoon's 64th birthday. The South Korean presidential office received more than 2,000 letters celebrating his birthday on that day. His supporters also sent garlands of flowers in support of him to the presidential office and to the Constitutional Court. And after his impeachment, President Yoon's popularity rating increased by almost 13%, and the support of the largest opposition force dropped by 5%. As a result, on Friday, the vehicles of the police and investigators were unable to gain immediate access to the residence, partly because a bus blocked the driveway, and they were stopped by the military. At 8 p.m., the investigators finally managed to cross the roadblock and enter the interior of the residence. However, they were blocked by security forces of the president. So the arrest was again challenged. There was a standoff for almost 6 hours. At approximately 1:30 p.m. local time, prosecutors announced that they had decided to halt the arrests because the standoff was continuing and it was physically impossible to execute the warrants. So they exited the president's residence. In the constitutional history of Korea, there has never been a precedent of an incumbent president being arrested. President Yoon is safe for now, but it's uncertain how his fate will unfold. And that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you for your support of Front Page. Please remember that every like, comment, and share helps more people to see the truth. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you have already subscribed, we thank you, but please double check to make sure that you're still subscribed, because some of our audience have reported that they're somehow unsubscribed without their knowledge. We've also heard that many of you don't get notifications of our videos anymore on YouTube. So when you do subscribe on YouTube, please make sure to tap the notification bell as well. Okay, this is our show for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you like what you heard today, please don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends and family, because everybody deserves to know the truth.